Hey everyone. Spoiler warning ahead for the podcast that follows. So if you haven't watched this movie yet and you have any intention to, please be aware that there will be full spoilers from the very beginning. Thank you. Hello, welcome to a new bonus episode of the Atomic Lizards podcast. Today we'll be discussing Fast X. This is Udi, the de facto film expert, and with me are Dan, the kaiju extraordinaire, and Miranda, the film fanatic. With us today are our guest hosts, Luke and Mike. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Thanks for having us again.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So, to start off, would you like to give us some early impressions and thoughts, Luke?
All right, so I'm starting off. I'm Luke. I'm back. Fast X is I anticipated it was going to be the first movie with 1 star on my letterbox that broke into my top 10 for the year. I have discovered that that is not the case. It is still pretty high up because as much as I think it is a rough movie on so many levels, it was still a blast. I saw it with a bunch of friends, and I think that is the ideal way to see almost any Fast and Furious movie, but especially this one. I think seeing it with friends or in a crowd is like the only way to see it. I think if I watched this by myself, I would, um, I don't know, combust or melt or disintegrate. It's I didn't like it. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Uh, but it was fun still. So, Mike.
Thanks for the layup. My brief little history with the Fast and the Furious franchise is that my girlfriend grew up with the movies, like loves them to the point where her whole family calls her dad Dom Toretto because he does kind of look like him. But I was just introduced to the franchise last year, I think, and then this year I watched through the ones that I hadn't watched yet. So I was like pretty excited. I was like finally part of the family. And I think the fact that this was the thank you. This is the first one I got to see in a theater in IMAX was kind of a special experience for me. So like yeah, it was not what you would call a good movie, but I had so much fun and yeah, you can't knock that.
I think you can.
I was gonna say, is that my cue?
That's your cue.
All right. Well, I guess before I head into my first impressions, if we're discussing our history with the Fast and Furious franchise, I might as well dive into mine a little bit. So I grew up a Need for Speed fan. I love the Need for Speed games, and I still love them to this day. And I got into like a really big Need for Speed kick as a kid, and I was like, man, I want to like, what else is there that's like street racing out there that I can get into? And sure enough, I came across the Fast and Furious franchise, because the first movie, even though Udi begs to differ, is still focused a little bit on the street racing aspect on it. So like, that's how
Nice.
I got into the Fast and Furious franchise. Is Need for Speed was kind of like my gateway drug into getting into those movies. But yeah, this newest one came out. So here's what I have kind of written down for my first impressions. I once said that I consider the Fast and Furious franchise to be B movies with a budget, and this latest entry in the quote unquote Fast saga is no exception. Like, these movies already kind of jumped the shark in the previous movie so aptly called F9, where they literally went to frickin' space. So like, how exactly do you top going to space? Well, that's the neat thing. You don't. While Fast X certainly doesn't quite reach the insanity of jerry-rigging literal rocket boosters to a car and flight it into space, it's not without its own equally stupid stunts. These movies have already shown that the laws of physics and aerodynamics cease to exist in this world, so you got stuff like flying a car into a crane so it knocks away an out-of-control bomb rolling through Rome, or you got Dom literally outracing the shockwave from a resulting bomb explosion, or the best one, literally outrunning a fiery explosion while racing down the walls of a dam. But at this point, insane crap like that is to be expected of this franchise. It's honestly quite amazing to see what this franchise has turned into, from what seemed to be at first a simple and grounded story about a cop going undercover to bust a gang of portable DVD player thieves, has turned into a series of action movies with plots that you would expect to come out of the latest James Bond film, not a movie about driving cool cars. Fast X doesn't really do anything different from its predecessors. It's got the bad dialogue, characters coming back from the dead, retcons of older scenes from previous movies, unintentionally funny scenes, and a villain that I swear comes from a factory whose sole purpose is creating someone that wants to see Dom dead or his family hurt for whatever reason. All in all, it's a Fast and Furious movie. You should know what to expect when going into this one. And those are my first impressions. What about you, Miranda?
Well, I have like 3 things. First, do you know what 2 meals Vin Diesel eats? Breakfast and Breakfurious. Get it? Get it? Get it? It's a pun.
Wow.
Funny.
That's terrible.
Secondly, it's great. I love it.
It's
Thank you to Hank
great.
Green for that joke.
I think that joke belongs in a museum. That really it got me.
Yeah, and then second, I've seen the first Fast and Furious, and I've seen Fast X. So I guess I kind of unique perspective on this franchise. But this movie is not like a critically thinky movie. If you just want to go watch some people drive cars and blow stuff up, that's basically what it is. They break literally everything: laws, physics, gravity. However, not their bones, and they don't die. So I don't know if that. I assume this is a reoccurring thing throughout the franchise, that they just have plot armor. So
Yeah, that
it's
is reoccurring.
like
Hmm.
They
Like,
even bring it up in F9 of like, wow, we have so much plot armor, it's insane. We should be dead.
I do genuinely like that bit in F9 because
It's so
Tyrese
good.
Gibson is like questioning, like sincerely, like, are we immortal beings? And it's a really funny bit. I think it's the only like meta bit that they've executed well.
I I don't mean to be a party pooper, but honestly, I hate it. I hate it so much because, in my opinion, pointing out stupidity in a movie doesn't make it better. It just makes it more infuriating because it's like you guys know what you're doing, and pointing it out doesn't make it any less dumb. It makes it more dumb that you know it's
I
stupid
agree,
and
but
you
they
keep
do it.
doing it.
100% agree.
They
Seriously.
do it. They
It's
do it
okay
a
to have a wrong
gazillion
opinion,
times in
Udi. It's
F9.
okay.
Okay, Mike.
No, I'm
Okay,
gonna back Udi. I'm
newbie.
gonna back Udi up here. Just because something is bad and you know that it's bad doesn't mean you can get away with it. I agree with Udi.
No,
But
the
delivered
thing I'm
with the
saying is
charisma of Tyrese Gibson. I'm
yes.
sorry, we're getting off track.
The charisma of someone who's just there to
We
make a
kind of
paycheck.
overtook Miranda's impressions here. Sorry, Miranda. Continue with
So
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
your impressions.
one thing I noticed is that the entire movie, I don't think there's a locked off tripod shot in the whole thing. Every single camera is moving in some kind of direction. And there's the scene with Brie Larson and that other guy in that like video game room
Alan
where I was
Richardson,
like,
yeah.
okay, this is getting nauseous. Like I was getting nauseous. But otherwise, for an action movie about cars, I think everything else was like pretty on par with like cheesy car movies. I mean, it's the first one's better, but I've only seen 2, so I don't know. There could be better ones in the franchise, but that's general.
I just want to say real quick, I don't know what your guys' opinions are, but I think the 5th one is the best one in the entire franchise. That's just me, though.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Watch the 5th one, Miranda. Fast 5.
Okay,
You'll
it's on
like
my
it. It's a
watch
heist
list.
movie.
Yeah, it's a heist movie. Yeah,
I
that's
do
true.
like
Yeah,
heists.
it's good.
I
Nothing beats a good
disagree.
heist.
You
I disagree, but
disagree?
only by a little bit. Yeah, I'll get to it. You give your first.
Okay,
Let's keep
okay.
talking about the movie that
Yeah.
we're supposed to be talking about, and then I'll
Exactly,
try to
yeah.
really quickly go through my thoughts on some others.
Honestly, so for background, just so I don't sound like a complete hater. I too, much like Mike's girlfriend, grew up with this franchise. If anything, I probably started watching them even sooner than she did because I'm a little older. So I watched the first one in theaters, and I've been watching them ever since they came out. And again, same as her. Like my family would watch them together, and it was like a whole thing. And I actually really enjoyed them growing up. They were some of my favorite movies.
Yeah, Udi, I'm so
Were
sorry.
you
You
were
saw the
you
first one in
3?
theaters? It came
I
out in
did, yeah,
2001.
yeah.
Okay.
Just
Sorry.
saying.
Yeah,
You've
I
got
probably
got
shouldn't.
Were
nos
you
running through your
4?
veins.
I probably shouldn't have been in that theater, but it's fine.
And I saw the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man in theaters. I was like 5 or 6.
I did too. I
Well,
did too. What
yeah,
the-
but Fast and Furious is made by like the straightest, horniest, most homophobic men ever. Like
I was
it's
gonna
crazy to
say
take
Peter Parker
anyone
doesn't
younger than
get
10. It's like crazy.
Peter Parker
It was.
doesn't drop the F slur in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was the early 2000s. It was a different time.
Yeah,
This
dude,
one
that
is still pretty horny. Like Fast
Yeah.
X, I don't think that part has
You mean
changed.
the montage of very close-up shots of bodies is
Yes.
I just want to say quick comment because Udi, you were like it's the early 2000s. If you want to like if you need an example of what the early 2000s were like, just watch the first Fast and Furious movie. It is
Oh, yeah.
drenched
It's
in
the
the early
2000s.
2000s.
It's
Yeah.
the 2000s to a T.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I know this is going to be a tough episode to keep short because it's like we do kind of have to touch on all of them, and there's 10. Hobbs and Shaw doesn't exist, but I
There's
said
11.
like in my review for the Fast and the Furious, like the first one, I was like, this is a perfect time capsule for the early 2000s cinema, and it is like such a hyper specific cinematic language that I feel like we don't see anymore. Like we say this often, but it's like they really don't make them like they used to. Um, there's so much that's like uniquely early 2000s in that movie that I constantly like was rewinding to rewatch again to be like, oh my god, it is very 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 early 2000s in I think I was gonna say the best way, but there are some negative things to early 2000s as well.
You're sitting there watching it like this is Widwee, the 2000s.
Widwee.
Widwee.
Widwee
Anyway.
in 2001.
Anyway, so I grew up with all of them. I was watching them. I watched them all as they all came out. So I watched the first one in theaters. I don't remember if I saw the second one. I definitely didn't see the third one in theaters. With the little money that I had as like a middle or high schooler, I took my dad to go see the fourth one in theaters for his birthday. Then I did not see the fifth one in theaters. Saw the sixth one in theaters. Saw the seventh in theaters. I saw all of the rest from like 7 on in theaters. So I watched most of them in theaters.
Except
The one you're gonna say doesn't exist, all right? It doesn't matter. And so knowing that, I would say even nowadays, probably part of it is nostalgia, but like 1 through 6, I still like can watch those and enjoy them, even with like some dumb parts here and there. Like they're all pretty enjoyable. So I would say I enjoy
Film is
watching
so
those.
subjective, it's crazy.
7, I honestly like. I would probably get hate for this, but I genuinely think people give that one too much credit. I think it's legitimately a bad movie. It's just the ending tribute is sweet and well done, and that's the best part of it. But people always talk about it, and they're always like, "Oh, but the ending is." So it's like, yeah, but the ending isn't the whole movie. The rest of the movie is pretty crappy, but the ending is good. Like that's my whole thing. 9 is terrible, awful.
Agreed.
Did not like it at all. And then 10, honestly, I walked out of the theater and I was like, I don't even know how I feel. Like I walked in knowing like this is gonna be super stupid. I know like I'm not expecting anything else except for it to be really stupid and ridiculous. And even going in expecting nothing but that, it's a challenge that they make just specifically for me to watch and be like, wow, this is even more dumb than I thought it would be. And I didn't even know how to like. I liked it more than 9, but that's not saying a lot because 9 was terrible. And I was like, I don't think I liked it more than 8 because 8 was surprisingly okay. But yeah,
Yeah,
so It's okay.
I read a review. I saw a review on Letterboxd that was like Fast X feels like a parody of the Fast and Furious franchise.
It
And I
does.
honestly couldn't agree more.
It feels like an
Um,
SNL skit.
yeah, it looks like one too. It looks
It
worse than an
does.
SNL skit.
I just want to say real quick, I like that analogy. It feels like a parody of the Fast and
Yes.
Furious franchise.
I read that and it has stuck in my brain ever since because I think that is one of like the perfect descriptors, and I hope that maybe I can find that who wrote that because I would love to give them credit. But I also want to say before we get into it, I too like grew up with these movies, and I think I didn't see any of them in theaters until the fifth one, and then every one after five I've seen in theaters. I did, the week of the Fast X releasing, I did rewatch all of them. Um, you can go look at my letterbox for proof. There were a few days that week that I would watch two in one day, and I found an interesting phenomenon happened. I thought that by the end of this, I was going to be so exhausted and drained and sick of Fast and Furious, but by the time I got to the ninth one, I found myself liking it more than when I saw nine in theaters. Like I genuinely, this is like a mystery to me. I still think they're bad and they don't have high star ratings, but I enjoyed them more, like watching them all condensed in like a short time span, which is very wild and interesting. I do real quick would like to say that I have in my ranked list, I have the first one as number one, which I could kind of maybe explain. And then Fast Five is number two. Like that's why I was like, I disagree a little bit. I do think that Fast Five is incredible, and I think it is like the perfect. I think that describes just what a blockbuster is in like all the best ways. But I don't know. I think the nostalgia is really something that bumps up the original Fast and Furious for me to be like number one. So
That's understandable. Nostalgia is a powerful thing.
it's so strong. And it's like nostalgia and entertainment are both. I think we talked about this a little bit in our John Wick podcast when we were talking about how like, especially for me, like I enjoy the third one a lot more than the others. So even if it's not a better movie, it's going to be higher up, and that's why like Fast X right now is sitting pretty at number five, even though I've rated several other Fast and Furiouses like higher than that. It's at five because of my enjoyment. Like I said, I think it's a horrific movie, but but I had fun.
Yeah, it's a fun movie to watch. I really wish that I didn't see it in a theater because the whole time I'm like just thinking of constantly things to like, why did they do that? Or like making jokes, and I'm like, I'm in a theater. I can't do that because that would be rude. But like, it's not great. It's not the most terrible movie I've ever seen, though. So
Wouldn't even call it the worst in the Fast franchise. I think there's worse.
Yeah, Fast and
I think
Furious. The fifth
F9.
Specifically two.
What?
Two
Yeah.
that are
You
worse.
think
Yeah, I'm gonna be
Fast and
honest with you,
Furious is
Udi.
worse
I would
than
probably
Fast
watch.
X?
I would probably watch Fast X over Two Fast and Furious. If I'm being
What?
honest.
Oh my god.
That is
This
insane.
podcast is gonna go on forever because
That's what I'm
I
saying.
rewatched Too Fast, Too Furious, and I honestly kind of loved it. I thought it was so funny, and I thought it was incredible, honestly.
It's so much better than the last few. The hate that it gets, I have never understood. Like
Well,
this is a
it's
franchise built on stupid stuff, but it's like the most street racing based out of like all of them. Like
Oh,
there's so many
Tokyo
races.
Drift.
when I was a kid, I
Tokyo
used
Drift.
to love Too Fast,
There's
Too
more
Furious.
racing, I feel like, in Too Fast than in
Nope.
Tokyo Drift.
Did you recently rewatch all of them in the span of a
It's the
week?
one at the beginning that gets him sent to Tokyo, and then it's the one where he gets introduced to Tokyo, like when he drives Han's car, and then it's like you see glimpses of him like winning races when he finally gets his Mitsubishi Lancer, but it's you don't see like full races. And then it's the one at the end, basically. I mean, the chase scene in downtown doesn't really count as a race; it's a chase scene. But like that's it. It's like three major
Okay,
races
then in
in the
Too
whole.
Fast, Too Furious, like there's so many chase scenes in that one. Those don't count.
Well, so you have the first race, which
All
is
right,
like
all
right at
right.
the
Let's
start.
just let's try to talk about.
let's Yeah, let's pivot back to Fast X. Your conversations are very interesting. So maybe one day in the future we can cover the
We'll have
whole
to do a Fast and
franchise.
Furious series. Yeah, we'll have to do a
Fast.
Fast and Furious
Yeah,
series for the podcast.
but
and you
God.
two will have to join us.
yeah. But for Fast X, where do we want to start?
Where do
Characters,
you
plot?
even begin?
I mean, yeah, where do you begin? I guess one of the first things I want to talk about. What did you guys think of frickin' Jason Momoa as the villain? In other words, the
I like
Joker.
this car. It's purple. I
I
like
think
purple.
that it's his character is so interesting to me because I love how gay he is, but also he seems so homophobic at the same time. Like
Yeah.
I was so conflicted watching his character. I'm like, I feel offended and also seen. What? What's happening?
I put it in my review that I think that out of every actor they've brought into the Fast and Furious franchise, he's the one who's the most excited to be here. Every scene, you could just tell that he was so excited to be doing what he was doing. And I think out of like the whole franchise, he's definitely my favorite villain. And honestly, I'd probably say he's the best villain too.
He definitely seemed like he was having fun. Everyone else was like all serious and like grumpy, and he's like being a bit weird and whatever. And it's like, oh, he's having fun with this role. This movie's not serious, so I feel like he maybe took a less serious approach to it compared to everyone else who's been doing this for what, 20 years?
Yeah. Yeah, you can. I agree. Yeah, you can definitely tell that Jason Momoa is just having the time of his life while filming this. I will say, I thought it was kind of weird how like the movie begins with like the callback to Fast Five, and we see Jason Momoa in that beginning part. I don't get the vibe at all that he's this insane Joker, flamboyantly gay type character at all from the film's opening. So then when we see him later, just in the film, acting all crazy and whatnot, it's like, oh, I was not expecting this.
Well, it's
So
because like
this
they
is
said.
this is a. Go ahead.
I was just saying because they like excited later in the movie that it's because like at that time like his dad was bailing him out of like mental institutions and like trying to like get him help here and there, I guess. But I
I
once
He was
was
his
just
gonna
dad
say
acting normal
perished.
around his dad.
I
I
was
think
gonna
he
say it's probably
also
because they don't really plan anything in these movies anymore.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
too.
that too. Yeah.
I
I
think I
think
do
he
see what Udi's saying. Oh, sorry, you go, Miranda.
I think at one point they like mentioned like he hits his head, right? And he's like, well, it didn't
Yeah.
really like show him anything. He just saw like darkness, or he like opened his mind, like literally. I don't know if that would be related to why his character shifts, or if that has any like
I think
uh anything to it.
yeah,
But
I think some of it was I think it's a combination of like everything that we said. I think it's not having a plan. I think it's him being like in and out of mental institutions and then hitting his head and then also his dad dying. Like I think it's like all of those things that like broke him.
It just really informs who his character is on a dramaturgical level.
Nice. All right, Jeremy Strong.
I do just want to add like to what you guys were saying that like he was having so much fun and like everyone else was like super serious or whatever. Like I don't disagree that he's having like the time of his life. Like he definitely seems like he's just eating it up every second that he gets like a chance to eat up the scene. Um, and he was fun. To me he feels like the Joker from the Adam West show, but thrown into Fast and Furious. But for me, like my thing is, the Fast and Furious family has always been super serious. That's what gives this franchise like a telenovela type feel because all the movies like they started out as like crime dramas and they evolved into just this ridiculous over the top stupid dumb action fest. But like the characters have stayed basically the same. So whenever it's the Fast like the Toretto family, they're always like super serious except for when it's like Tyrese, Luda, and I guess Natalie Emmanuel. But like other than those characters, like everyone else is very like kind of solemn or just like very I don't know, just very like serious. And when you introduce a character like this, like they feel so different because it's just it's almost like putting in a different character from a different movie into this franchise.
Dummy boy.
Dami. I don't know if it was necessarily everyone feeling too serious. I think, like, yeah, we can feel that with their characters, but I also think just on an energy level, like Jason Momoa was trying, and it seemed like a lot of the main cast here just wasn't. Like, it wasn't even that they were serious; it's that they were just kind of there, kind of reading lines. I think there's a lot of energy lost, I feel like, in this one, because there was kind of a little bit of a, messy production and all of that jazz. But I don't know. If I were them, I'd be getting tired. I know Dom's not. Or Vin Diesel. Sorry. Wow, that's crazy.
Or one
He
and the
is Dom
same.
in my head. Like, I know Vin Diesel's not, because he wants to not only finish off this trilogy but make a spin-off of the Torettos, which are the main characters in this series. Insane.
Ingenious.
How would
But
that work? Wouldn't that just be the series?
it's a good question. Good
Yeah,
question, isn't it?
I feel like these movies are gonna go on forever because I think Udi pointed out they're already setting up like the next generation with like Dom's son, and like they're probably
and
gonna like
Brian's son.
and Brian's son, yeah, like they're already like setting up the next generation. So these movies are just gonna go on forever. They're never gonna die.
I was gonna say my only thing with that point is that that's what I feel like is gonna happen, but I don't understand how you start this franchise over with like a new generation. Like, what else is there to do once you end the next like 2 or 3 movies? Like, I don't like how could you possibly up the ante
I'm
if
sure
it
they'll
Vin
might be
figure
for
Diesel
older
with a
something out.
gray
kids?
beard.
I mean, they already went to space. Like, how do you top that?
And every movie
By
is a
going to
world
space
ender.
again
Go race on
to fight
Mars or the moon.
They race on
to
the
fight
rings
the
of Saturn.
Transformers, because that's what this movie feels like, a Transformers movie.
I've been
Dude, a
talking
Fast
to
and
so many
Furious
friends.
Transformers crossover.
Transformers crossover needs to happen.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic World crossover, please.
Speaking of Jurassic World, the raptor scene when they're in Rome in the Fallen Kingdom or whatever the newest one is called, I think
Oh,
that's in
Dominion.
Rome. That one was a more entertaining chase sequence than them just trying to like play soccer with a giant bomb and cars.
Rocket League. Yeah.
Yeah, like
That brings me in.
Also,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say also, I was gonna touch on this eventually, but it is insane to me that how much do you guys think this movie cost? As I
too
looked
much
it up.
money.
Like $350
I'm gonna
million.
guess, yeah, around 300 million. Yeah.
First of all, insane that you guys are close. I would have guessed $10 because it's insane to me that we are over 20 years into this franchise, and this is the worst any of these movies have looked. I think it is visually like painful, like to my eyes to look at some of the special effects, some of the like the green screen copy, like it's all so bad. This movie cost $340 million to make. Where did that budget go? Genuinely.
To all
Like,
the
the
actors.
cast.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here's
apparently like Vin is pretty
To every
good.
superhero.
He's
I was-
pretty good at like giving everyone what he thinks their dues are. So they all get fat paychecks.
He's such
except
a
for,
good
I guess,
guy.
a
Versus the
special effects
production.
team that they gave
Yeah,
a nickel and
yeah.
a magic muffin.
A coupon.
I was gonna say this. You know the joke around Adam Sandler movies where it's like it's just Adam Sandler going on vacation with his friends. That's why there's like Grown Ups 2 and whatnot. Well, that's my theory for Fast and Furious. Just Vin Diesel wanted to go to Rome with his friends, so they made another They made Fast X.
Were they
Rome,
actually in Rome
Roman.
though?
Rome.
Oh
Roman.
yeah, that great joke. Roman. Oh, the only Rome you know is Roman noodles. Kill me.
Miranda, I think that's a really fair question because I know that they went to Rome for the premiere, but watching this movie, I can't believe that they were anywhere near Rome. Like I don't think
Yeah.
any of them stepped foot in Rome until the premiere.
Like the whole thing kind of just looked like CGI, and like obviously the car crashes and stuff, they're not gonna do that in real life. Like that's dangerous. But like could at least try a bit.
Well, and you can have like hybrid stunts. Like even in, I think it was whatever one had the magnets. I don't know anymore.
That was F9.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So even in F9, it's like they have practical sets where they did like throw a car through these buildings, but then they touched it up with special effects. Or like in Fast 7, like they were driving these cars through like building windows, and then they made it look like, they were however many stories high. So it's like you could still do that, but I feel like here they just didn't try to do anything practically. There's a scene where Ramsey is driving a truck, and it is so clearly green screen behind her, like in a car. Like she's not even driving. Like I think the car is still, and she's in front of a green screen. They didn't even have her drive. I know her character can't drive. Well, apparently now she can. But like, it looks so bad, and I was baffled the whole time watching this.
I think there's a scene, they're like driving in the dust at a quarry or something, and all the cars like drive up, and there's no tire marks or anything in the sand, I think. So, like,
Incredible.
I don't know if they ran out of time, budget,
Not budget.
motivation.
Yeah, really. I wanted to kind of circle back because when you guys were talking about the whole bomb scene in Rome, I wanted to mention that Vin Diesel's car is literally his superhero suit. Like, you know how people, like, in superhero movies, they got to suit up to fight whatever enemy? As long as Vin Diesel has his car, like, he has, like, superpowers. He can do anything.
Well, it's like the line at the end of the movie where he's like, "Your one mistake was not taking my car away from me," or whatever he says. It's like, I mean, yeah, it's literally the exact same mistake every antagonist in these movies does. They never take away your car or rip out a tire or anything.
Yeah, it's
He's
his
just,
superhero suit.
yeah, nothing could stop Dom Toretto in his. Oh, also speaking of that, this is like a me thing because I don't think most people even notice or care. But Dom Toretto must have bought up all of the remaining 1970s Dodge Chargers that are left over, like the last few, and somehow has like a stockpile of them all over the globe. Because the Dukes of Hazzard production basically destroyed all actual real life 1970s Dodge Chargers, as far as I know. And yet, in every movie, and no matter where he goes, no matter what, like if he's wanted or not wanted, he always has a new Charger, and I don't understand. Like, I know it's his iconic car or whatever, but it's always a different one. I'm like, how do you keep finding more? In Brazil, in this one, he was on the run. He was like wanted by everyone, and you still somehow managed to get a brand new like 70s Dodge Charger and have it be fully like decked out and everything. It's like, where did you get this from? How? You don't have any money, Dom.
Maybe as a time machine.
They literally rigged
That's what they could
rockets
add to the
to a
franchise.
car and sent Tyrese and Ludacris into space. I don't question anything about these movies anymore. I just accept it.
Honestly, if in the next movie Dom's like, all right, time to get my quantum portal car garage, and then he whips out this little phone device and he teleports a car from the 70s. Honestly, I'd respect it. It would make more sense.
Like what
Honestly,
Miranda was saying, my friends and I had anticipated and theorized that there might be time travel in this one, because I was like, that's the only thing that might make sense. That's how they retcon Fast Five. No, they just did it. But then also, I think when Cypher first shows up, she rolls up in a DeLorean, and my friends and I were like, "Oh my god, no way! Time travel is happening in the Fast X franchise." But then it didn't, so that was a little bit of a bummer.
That would have actually
hope,
been pretty cool if like she had like a Back to the Future, but like brand new DeLorean. She's like, Dom, you got to come with me.
dude, I hope we get time travel. That'd be awesome. Or I was telling Udi, my idea was you just introduce the multiverse. You have Dom race different multiversal versions of himself. There you go.
It could already be the multiverse, because, right, you got Vin Diesel, who's Groot, Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, Aquaman, insert other superheroes here. It's
Speaking
already
of
part
Also,
of
it
it.
could be
That
it could be the
explains
multiverse
everything.
because in this one Han is alive, and so is whatever Gal Gadot's character's name is. Like I
Oh
Adele.
yeah.
You just keep bringing everyone back.
Yeah, these movies. No, it's literal because we've already made comparisons to like superhero movies. These movies, like seriously, they're at the point where they're just bringing characters back from the dead, like in comic books. Like, come on.
So talking about how insane these movies are, um, I was looking stuff up, classic bookworm and classic nerd me, and it's so funny because Tyrese Gibson, when he was talking about Fast X, he said it would see the franchise, quote, going back to its roots, with reports indicating this to be a return to street racing elements of previous entries. Um, that's not true at all.
Oh.
If anything, this is like the farthest from its roots it's ever been in like every sense of the word. Uh, I can't get over how insane this movie is on every single level, but especially like story wise, what they do with characters, how they write dialogue, or how they improvise it. Because I feel like that might have been a lot of improv on this set.
I just want to say real quick because you mentioned how in previously I was like, oh, it's going to go back to its roots, but it doesn't really. They do have that one street racing scene though, and I will say that's probably my favorite part of the movie because it just I like the part where like they're all revving up at the starting line and like goes through each car, like showing each person like looking at each other, getting
That's
ready to
pretty cool.
race. I did like that scene.
And then Jason
My
Momoa blows
problem with
everybody up.
that scene,
Yeah.
my problem with that scene was that the race was a straight line.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
Yeah.
just like the first one.
but like it could have been, I don't know, having
More
just
exciting.
seen Too Fast, Too Furious, where they jump a bridge. I feel like they could have done a little something something with the street race before just blowing people up.
I agree.
Also, again, these all blend together so much. And I remember when I first exited this movie, I was with a group of my friends, and they kept bringing stuff up that I had forgot happened in the movie seconds prior. Like, there's so much in this movie. This one starts with Dom like racing that broken down car, right?
I think
No.
it's
Well, it
That was
starts out with
starts
8.
with him and his kid.
yeah, it starts
That
off
was
with
Yeah,
him,
it's
Fast
him
8.
doing donuts.
him doing
Yeah.
donuts in like some random
Which one
LA
am I
parking
thinking
lot.
of?
You're thinking of Fast 8.
Yeah, you're thinking of
He's
Fast
in
8.
Cuba
Oh my
driving his
god.
like nephew's
Okay, sorry.
car.
Because I had a problem with that one, and I was like, I was gonna bring that up, but I guess that's the wrong. Yeah, 8, 9, and 10 blend together because I think they're all so bad.
I'm gonna say these movies blend together, so
I'll bring 8 into this. 8's kind of fun.
I don't mind 8. Yeah, I think 8 is better than 7, 9, and 10.
so
I'll
while
just
we're
okay. Sorry.
what were you gonna say? Because I
I
was
was
gonna
just
change topics.
gotcha. Mine's only like a little bit related. I was just gonna say that the cardinal sin that these movies can commit to me at least
R.
is just
Dinelson.
being is just being boring, which is what F9 was to me. I got very bored of the movie. Like outside
Agreed.
of the opening stunt with like him Spider-Man swinging on a bridge and then Tej and Roman going to space. Like those were the only fun parts of the movie to me. And with this movie, Fast X, it felt so far away from that. Like every scene, I felt like I was entertained, whether it be because of Jason Momoa being Jason Momoa or the stunts being kind of crazy where Dom is using the car as like a physical extension of his body. It just felt like so much more entertaining than F9 to me, which I think is one of the reasons why I enjoyed it a lot. So, yeah, that's just kind of what I wanted to say. F9 was boring and this movie was not for me.
I
Yeah.
do want to go back real quick because we were talking about the one race scene in this movie. I remember seeing the marketing for this movie and thinking, I'm intrigued to see how they fit in a street race with everything going on in this movie, and I have a
Mhm.
feeling it's going to be like 2 seconds long, and then it's not going to matter for the rest of the movie. And lo and behold, it's exactly what happened. It was like, I mean, there were stakes because there was a character that got introduced suddenly in this movie, but yeah, like it was pretty bare bones. Like they did it just to include it, but then the race, like Mike said, was just like a straight line and really lame and boring. But That being said, uh,
I mean, they
on
did
the
blow up some people. Like, at least there was something.
I guess, but I don't like as a race sequence though. It wasn't really much of a race, and then it was just kind of over.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say I feel like Vin Diesel did that guy dirty because he's like, yeah, I have your back, Dom, and then he just lets him die. It's like I know just like Jason Momoa was like, oh, you got to save one, you can't save both or whatever, but still, this man had your back the entire time. You just let him die. What the hell, Dom?
I
Yeah,
was
but then
honestly surprised he was able to save either of them. Like after the one guy blew up, I was like, save her. Like, what is he gonna do that gets this bomb off of her car? And lo and behold, he just taps it and flips the car, and the bomb comes off. So I was like, okay, cool.
well, I also feel like they did a bad job of like explaining why we should care of like well because like as a Fast and Furious fan you're like I remember that guy, he's from Fast Five, and you're like I don't like I like Danielle Melchior. I'm like I don't know who she is, and all like at the beginning of the scene she's just like I want to race, and that's it. Like that's her character development that like to that point, and then it's like why are you choosing her over him? Like what's up, Dom? What's going on? And then finally, then you get the reveal of like, oh, she's Elena's sister. Okay, that makes sense now. But it's like in the moment, you're like, why do you care about her so much, Dom? Like, you don't know her. She's just a
Exactly.
stranger.
Like that had me thinking, like, Dom, bros before hoes. What the heck? This guy had your back.
But on that note, what did you guys think of the reveal that that's Elena's sister?
I
Stupid.
was not expecting it.
To think that
I
like
don't know who anyone is, so I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
Miranda's
think
like,
of
I have
anything.
no idea who that is because I haven't seen the movie she was introduced in.
Well, it's funny
Elena's
because,
not your
like I
number
said, I
one
saw it.
favorite character, Miranda.
But like I said, I saw it with a couple of friends, and I think two of my friends also they hadn't seen any of them, so they didn't even watch the first Fast and Furious. I had a couple of friends who were, curious virgins, and um,
Really
and they saw
angry virgins.
yeah they saw this one, and before we like on the car ride there, they were like, "So give me like the cliff notes. Like, what do I have to know?" And I thought about it, and I went, "I think you'll be okay." And besides like them saying like, "Oh, you're Elena's sister," and being like, "Who is kind of Elena?" They explain pretty much everything. We watch, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes of Fast Five at the beginning and like close to the end of this movie. Um, there's like I think Miranda mentioned it earlier, the weird like all CGI room that Alan Ritchson and Brie Larson are in is just like recapping every Fast and Furious movie that happened.
Yeah,
It's like
it is.
it's just so like lazy and bizarre, and everything is just so bad, but it's also simple. Like again, it's like you could just watch this and be like, "Oh yeah, no, I get it." You might miss out on one key character and not understand that like, Elena is the mother of Dom's child and not Letty. I don't know if you knew that. But it's like besides that, I think you can watch this without seeing any of them and be okay.
Yeah, there's nothing like bizarre. I mean, they kept like referring to it agency, and I'm like, okay, they must be like the undercover crime police or something, and then they refer to like some other characters, but otherwise, I'm like, okay, there's nothing like too in depth because they like explain it all. It's not like watching like Endgame without watching all the rest of the MCU. There's like no huge gaps in anything, so
I feel like they kind of did what Scream 6 did, not to like spoil anything in that movie, but like they had that room where they just showed all the killers in all the other movies, and like they did it in like a kind of like a nice, like sophisticated, like simple, like here's all the spoilers for the franchise so far, so you're caught up. There you go, boom. Whereas this, it's like let's put two actors in a blue screen room and have them just spoil the rest of the movies because that'll take 3 minutes.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of circle back to Elena's sister because Udi had told me that actor is the one who played Ratcatcher 2 in The Suicide Squad, and I did
Yeah.
not recognize her. Yeah, I had no
It
idea
is?
that was her.
She's
Yeah.
she's
Yep.
also the red lady in Guardians 3. She's like the
Yep.
red like receptionist.
Uda.
Actually, she's pink.
Yeah, she's more magenta, but it's fine.
All right, what if I'm colorblind? Now you're ableist.
I was gonna say,
Sorry.
yeah, don't ask me. I'm the colorblind one here, so.
I'm also not
Sorry.
colorblind. Sorry, stolen valor. That's
I wanted to talk about because like I felt. How did you guys feel about John Cena? Because I felt like they just completely changed his character in this movie. Like he's acting like Peacemaker. He acts like Peacemaker the
He's
entire
acting like
time
John
instead
Cena.
of yeah.
Literally had that thought. Like, I did not. I thought he was so boring in F9, and like the whole time I was like, how is this dude related to Vin Diesel? But in this movie, I
Nothing
did not
alike.
care. I was like, because you're right, he was acting just like Peacemaker. I literally, before seeing this movie, I rewatched The Suicide Squad, and I had just started watching Peacemaker the series, and I was like, wow, he like literally like learned how to act between F9 and those two
Yeah.
movies coming out, and now he's like
Yeah.
having maybe a little less fun than Jason Momoa, but still just as much fun. I'm not gonna lie, when they were on the plane and he revealed that the little canoe was actually a little plane, my jaw dropped. That was the most exhilarating twist I've ever seen in a movie.
and then
For real,
and then
it
we
was.
don't
I
get to
was
see
like,
how they land it.
They
No, 'cause
gave
who
him a
cares?
Batwing.
They
They
gave him a bat cave.
They gave him a Batwing, and yeah, then they gave him a Batcave, and then they gave him a Batmobile in the Batcave.
So also, did you guys notice the little cameo in the airport before they went on the airplane? They saw Debbie Ryan and the
Oh my,
21
and
Pilots
Josh Dunn.
guy and Josh Dunn.
I
Yeah,
busted
it's
out
like,
laughing. I was like, "What is this cameo? Like,
and
are
then
they
2
big
seconds
Fast
later,
fans?"
Pete Davidson was on screen.
Pete Davidson. Okay, that scene doesn't make sense to me because like
No, it
if
doesn't.
he wanted to turn them in, why would he tell them that's what he's doing? Like just call the FBI and just keep them there and stall them. Why would you tell them, "Oh yeah, here guys, I'm going to turn you in." Like what?
Because he's
That
Pete
whole
Also,
scene.
Davidson.
also, why would you give Han a magic muffin that makes him trip insanely hard after 2 bites, and then
And then not do
within
anything with it.
seconds go, ah, never mind. He's not high
Yeah.
anymore.
I
That
thought
made
that
me
was gonna
so
factor in
upset.
at the end.
Han is just
I
so
thought it was gonna factor in
powerful.
the next scene, but like no, he's
Oh,
just
yeah.
fine. Like the next scene is them going to see Jason Statham, and he's just like fine. And he's like good doing
Yeah.
hand-to-hand combat. It's like
I
Honestly, if
honestly
they had
forgot
done
Jason Statham was in this movie.
if they had done like a
such a
whole
mess.
like tripping balls sequence with Han, I would have actually liked this movie probably like 10 times more if they had just like gone for it.
I'm a little tired of like certain like tripping scenes in movies, and it's like I don't wish we had a scene where it's like we see everything from his point of view, and it's all like whoa, like that one shot of him holding the muffin and it being all crazy was like good enough for me. But I just wish
Yeah.
he
That
acted
special effect
high
shot.
for like
Yeah.
yeah. I
like
just wish yeah.
it would have been funny if like Tyrese or Ludacris looked over and they're like, "Yo, Han, you okay?" And then he's just standing there, like they don't show you what he's seen, but
Just
like he's just
drooling.
standing there, like, yeah. And I wanted to talk about that scene still because like what was up with because I didn't understand the fight between like Ludacris and Tyrese because what was with the stand? I didn't understand that.
Before we fully move on, there's just one little tiny thing I want to mention, and we got away from the airplane. It's just a very
Yeah.
really quick thing. There
Yeah.
was a quick cameo on the airplane that the stewardess who helps John Cena get off the plane is Paul Walker's daughter in real life.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to say
Oh,
that.
really? That's
It's a
cool.
little neat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's neat.
I thought you were gonna say
Anyway.
you saw Kevin Hart from Hobbs and Shaw on the plane,
God no,
like how he's introduced in that movie.
I didn't
Kevin
even know
Hart
he
and
was in
Hobbs
that
and
movie.
Shaw.
Oh, sorry. Every cameo you can think of that would be in a Rock movie is in that movie.
Okay.
Was John Cena in that movie?
Okay, no, but there's one specific cameo that I think you could guess very easily. Not to get off topic, but
Well, I mean, Yeah, to kind of go back to like the scene with Pete Davidson and whatnot. Like, what was with the fight scene between Ludacris and Tyrese? Because I didn't get the sand at the end. Like, Ludacris clearly beats up Tyrese, and then he just throws sand at the light. Like, I don't get it. What is it?
I honestly don't know what you're talking
Very good
about.
question. No, I remember what it is. I don't know if it was. I don't think he had like pocket sand. I don't think it was like a King of the Hill like reference. I don't know what it was.
That's
He
why
called
it
it
doesn't make
powder, I
sense.
think.
Yeah, because he just throws it up into the ceiling. Like, I don't get it. Like,
I
why
don't
did
know if
he
they're
do
saying.
that?
I don't know. I don't. I mean, you could ask me a number of questions about this movie, and I would just have no idea.
Yeah,
And I
that's what
don't
it's like.
think the
I
people who
just
wrote it
don't
have
like.
any idea.
Was
I don't
that
think the
I
supposed to
people
be
who
a
think like
directed
joke?
it have any idea.
Like, I don't get it.
So that was just a
probably
weird thing. That
It's
wasn't
just,
like it's just a weird thing.
it's just a weird thing, I guess. Because I
Okay,
mean,
not a reference.
he later throws sand into Pete Davidson's face at to so I guess that explains why he had it, but it still doesn't make
It
sense.
it just kind of proved that Roman was a leader, and it kind of added to his arc of the whole movie.
Okay,
So right.
sure, I'll
Kind of
go with it.
on that topic, like how I was like, I just don't think anyone kind of knew what was going on. I hope that everybody here has seen that video of Vin Diesel and Justin Lin during the first week of this filming.
Yeah, yeah,
So that
I don't
is,
think I have.
oh my God,
Yeah, I don't
look it up
know.
right now. It's 20
yeah.
seconds long.
It's so
Um,
awkward.
Vin Diesel is like, this is they just finished their first week of filming, and Vin Diesel like goes up to Justin Lin, who was the original director of this, who's directed I think 4 previous Fast movies. Um, but I mean, Justin Lin looks like he's being held hostage by Vin Diesel. It's insane.
Yeah,
Um, and then when you have Louis Leterrier, I don't know how you pronounce his last name. He's
Leterrier.
Leterrier. So Leterrier, um, listen, I haven't made a feature film, but don't think he's a good director. I don't know if he's made a movie that I like, that I enjoy, and I saw a quote from him where he said, "This film focuses on increased familial responsibilities, saying Dom was always a lone wolf. He was living quarter mile at a time, but the stakes are real now. He's responsible for a human being, an innocent life he brought into the world." So he doesn't understand the character at a fundamental level. Like the main character, he says he was always a lone wolf. Do you not know that this movie is about family? That is the only thing in his life that is important is his family. He has never once been a lone wolf. And for the director of this movie to describe him as that and say he didn't care about anybody until my movie where he has a son that is a completely different child than the one that we saw in the previous movie. Um which is crazy too. It's like I don't know. This movie is such a mess, and it just boggles my brain. Like, the more that we talk about it, the more I remember things from it that I want to bring up and discuss, but it's just too much because there's too much here that just doesn't make sense to me. Sorry, guys. I really hate this movie. I think I might lower my ranking
I'm
after
right
this
there.
podcast.
Good. Let the hate flow through you. No, I do want to add. I don't remember the exact quantity, but I remember when Justin Lin quit because like that was big news. Like no one ever just like quits after like you start filming and
Weak.
like after you have a contract and everything. Like the week that he like the first week done, he quit, and it was revealed that he was probably going to lose something like $10 million from
It
like
says 10 to
dropping this.
20 million.
Yeah, and there was a quote that came out that it was some things are worth saving your mental health for, or like something like
Yeah,
that. It's
he's
like, good
sorry. Again,
lord.
I'm in the bookworm. I have the
jeez.
quote literally right here. He said,
Perfect,
"This
perfect.
movie is not worth my mental health."
Yep.
Because apparently Vin Diesel he arrived very out of shape. He was often late, did not remember his lines. He was giving Justin Lin rewrites. He's apparently like sort of a perfectionist on set. Like he was just being such a nuisance, and Justin Lin was like, "I cannot deal with you anymore." This was after 1 week. It's crazy.
Technically,
Yeah.
like
Damn.
10 years.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I feel like after how I can't imagine how bad F9 must have been considering how that one turned out. I feel like Justin just he was just done, which makes me like sad on the one hand because I think he made the best Fast and Furious movies in the entire franchise, and I feel like he was the one who like elevated it above what it was. However, and like he also hasn't had that much work outside of this franchise, unfortunately. But like honestly, I'm happy for him. I'm hoping he feels better and he's happy. But anywho,
I wanted to mention one thing. So earlier we talked about the kayak. Yeah, one, I didn't know you could like bring a kayak on a plane, so that's cool. And the joke I made about that when it turns into a plane was like, what next? He's gonna have the Batmobile, and well, I think you guys mentioned I guess his
Yeah.
last car basically was. But so recently in movies, there's been a lot more of like using drones to film things, like the ambulance or LA ambulance. I don't know that dumb Michael Bay
MBLA
movie
Ants,
with Jake
Jake
Gyllenhaal in it.
Gyllenhaal, and
They used
Yaya
like
Abdul-Mateen
drones in that.
II. So,
And they used drones in like John Wick Chapter 4. I can't tell if they used any drone like to film landscapes or not because every single time I would see a scene and think it was, they would like cut immediately. So I don't know if you guys are familiar on how that like style looks, but did you guys get any of like that vibe from this
well,
movie?
my vibe was that either they did a lot of these scenes just in a computer completely, or when it was like an establishing shot, or maybe something that looked similar to like a drone shot or a wide of like a location, I just assume it's stock footage. Like again, it's possible that there's drones in this, but I have so little faith in just this movie. I'm sorry, I'm like the worst right now. I'm such a hater, but like I don't expect anything cool to come from this and like the creative team. Like I don't know, I feel like a lot of it could have been stock footage, which again is fine as long as it doesn't feel like stock footage.
I don't remember there being drone footage. Maybe there was like a couple of shots, if anything, maybe, but nothing. Granted, also I only watched it once, and we watched Dan. I watched it with Dan. We watched it opening night, so it's been a bit more than a week. But I don't remember there specifically being anything. Like I said, there could be like a couple of shots, but like even watching the trailers for Ambu LA Ants, I remember being like, oh yeah, those are drone shots, like perfectly, like right there. Whereas like this, I can't. Granted, again, I don't remember like half of the details of the movie because it's just a modge podge of random crap happening. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't remember there being any.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what to look for in terms of like drone shots, but like the only thing I can think of is there might have been a scene or two in Rome during the bomb scene that might have been a drone shot, but then again, I don't know. I don't know what to look for.
It's just like something that has been showing up a lot recently, and I think it's like a good way to show action because you can do like very interesting shots, like not to get off topic, but in John Wick in the clue board scene and the roundabout scene, like there's like certain shots that feel like they're not on a crane. So I've been like looking for that, so that's why I asked. Since
Have you
it's
seen
interesting.
Ambu-LA Ants?
No.
I think you should.
I don't like Jake
It's pretty
Gyllenhaal,
fun.
so I won't be watching.
Whoa! Yeah, this podcast is gonna be another hour long. Sorry. Um, no, I think if even okay, so if you don't like Jake Gyllenhaal, I would say maybe is it streaming anywhere or do you have to rent it? Is it on Prime?
It's
Doesn't
on.
matter.
It is
Anyways,
on Prime. My dad was watching it earlier today, actually.
knew it. I would say if you're interested in like looking at cool drone shots, there are some pretty incredible drone shots in Ambulance. Like
Like
that
when the
don't
car jumps over the drone.
very cool. I mean,
That's
like
such a
he
cool
literally
shot.
he got a guy who's like a professional drone racer to like pilot the drone. So, I mean, you could even if you don't want to watch it, you could fast forward, watch some of the drone shots. They're pretty incredible.
Yeah. It's like cool when productions do cool and unique things, and unfortunately this one doesn't.
At all, ever, not once.
But we're about at an hour, so shall we wrap the show a bit? Final thoughts? Any
Let's
other pressing things we must talk about?
let's talk about the ending. What did you guys think about the ending?
Oh boy. Well,
I
Um,
forgot there was a whole Antarctica subplot. I was like, "Oh, okay,
my
is he
God,
gonna are they
yeah.
gonna die?" Oh, cut to snow, and I was like, "Oh, right. That's a
Uh,
thing."
Cut to
I
randomly revived character that was dead
yeah,
4 movies
like
ago.
I wanted to facepalm when I saw Gal Gadot. Like when Gal Gadot showed up, I was just like, "Oh my god, seriously."
Also,
Also, don't let
speaking
me
of the
forget.
Antarctica scene, do you go?
I was gonna say, don't let me forget, but we got to talk about the post-credit scene too.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I'm
It was
excited
Well,
about
let's
that.
focus on the ending right now.
oh, yeah.
Well, real quick in the Antarctica scene, I read somewhere, I think Michelle Rodriguez actually said it, that her fight scene with her and Charlize Theron, just wasn't a director on set, like because
Right.
of just all the shit going on. They were just like, we'll just do this ourselves. That's how much of a mess this movie was. They didn't have a director for a like crucial fight scene. Well, I
my
guess I
god.
mean crucial is anything crucial in this one. I'm getting into hater mode again. So the ending was bad.
Yeah.
um, I
I
think
do
it
feel
was so
like
bizarre to me because I feel like it just stopped. Like I know they were like teasing that there's going to be more installments, so there's going to be like a cliffhanger, but this doesn't feel like a cliffhanger to me. It feels like I'm watching something and my brother turned it off like as a bit. Like it is so jarring. I don't think it works well at all. It I don't know. It's just it was so weird, and the pacing of this movie is so insane. Even though it's like over 2 hours and 20 minutes long, I think it felt like it was going by fast. So by the time we got to where the end was, I genuinely thought there was like 20 more minutes, and then it just stops.
I thought too. I was like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah,
we're at the end. We're gonna wrap things up." Nope, and now I gotta go see Fast and Furious 11.
I just
So
felt bad for a lot of
that's
other
great.
people in my theater because I know that I learned that this was going to be a trilogy. Maybe whenever the premiere was, because I think that's when Vin Diesel said it was like a few days beforehand. But I'm chronically online. Like I can't imagine what so many people in the theaters were thinking when this movie just ends. Like that's what I'm saying is like it doesn't lead into a cliffhanger. It just stops. I can't imagine what people who didn't know that there was going to be more of these like thought was going to happen. Like I can't imagine what's going through their heads. I don't know. Insane.
I kind of feel like at least like going off of the reactions from the theater that I was in with Dan. I kind of feel like people just don't care. Like they just kind of go to these be- just for gits and shiggles. I feel like because there were so many parts where people were just laughing like at the movie, not with the movie, like at the movie because how stupid it was.
The whole time.
And I was like yeah, throughout, and it's like that's like basically what this franchise is at this point. And people will be like, "Oh, that's so mean" or whatever. It's like, but that's what it is. I don't think it deserves any more respect. Like I'm glad people are getting paid and whatever, but like I don't know, like it doesn't have anything really going for it at this point. It's just going. It's just a machine.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the ending because they, like you guys are saying, they try to end it on a cliffhanger. But my problem with that is that like I'm not worried for any of these characters at all. Like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna kill Vin Diesel off? Yeah, there's no way his son is gonna die. Like, and if they kill Vin Diesel off, he's probably just gonna come back in a later movie because none of these characters ever die anyway. So like, where are the stakes here? And like we saw the plane that Tyrese and Ludacris were in, we saw it go down and explode, but there's no way they're dead. It's like, come on. Like I'm not
We
worried
we
for
we
any of these
saw we
characters.
saw the plane go around the mountain, and
Yep.
then who knows? But also
Yeah.
No
like
bodies.
the director was like quoted as saying like, "Oh, there will be some tremendous casualties," like when he was talking about this movie, and I'm like, I don't believe you. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
just
don't either.
Do murder a
This
lot.
this film franchise has shown time and time again that they don't care who dies. If they want a character to come back, they will come back.
Mhm.
I think the most surprising thing that Fast 11 could do would be to open up and just actually show that they're all dead. Like,
Oh yeah,
do you know
respect. They
how
do
crazy that would be?
That would be
Immediate
insane.
5 stars.
Yeah.
Immediate 5 stars. It would
Respect.
bump to
Instant
the top
respect.
of my rank
Like,
list.
like okay, Roman might be one of my favorite characters in cinema history, but like I'd trade him for that twist. That'd be kind of insane. Although then it
Imagine
would mean more
Fast
screen
11
time with Cypher, and then maybe I
Oh.
wouldn't like it as much.
Yeah, imagine Fast 11 just opening to like all of them in the plane, like just on fire, burning, screaming in agony and pain, and it's so visceral and
5
real,
stars.
and it's like, oh my god, and that 5 stars immediately if they actually.
5
You know
stars.
what? I will find a way to send Louis Leterrier, Louis, whatever his name is. I'll find a way to send him $1,000 if any character dies in the next movie.
Oh, God,
Don't believe it's gonna happen.
don't say that. Don't say it. I would
Oh,
believe.
is
at
he
least
is he an
one
avid listener of
character
this
will die.
podcast too?
Oh yeah. He's a
Be
number
very
one fan.
surprised if he was.
No,
Don't you
but
know
like,
all the famous people listen to our podcast?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right.
even Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel, yeah, Dom Toretto himself listens.
He's listening for more ideas for the next one.
It's like
God.
time
Oh,
travel. I
we
like
got
it.
you, Mike and I. We got you. We planned out the whole rest of the franchise for you on Letterboxd.
We did. We had like a 30 comment thread of just ideas of how this franchise can end.
Did everyone finish saying their thoughts? I know I haven't, but like, did everyone else finish saying their thoughts on the ending?
I mean, yeah, I got what I.
Going back a little bit on the end. This is technically part of the climax, so it counts. When John Cena and little Vin Diesel kid are like driving on the highway with the rocket car, can we just mention the kill count that the kid has because of all those rockets that he fired?
So not only the fact that little Brian probably has the highest kill count in this movie, like he's
Yeah.
killed dozens of men. He did that and then watched his uncle blow himself up in front of his face. He just is like, I'm gonna blow myself up after you killed all these men. It's oh my god, this movie. Okay, so
just
my
need
final
to say
thoughts.
real
Did I
quick-
mention how much I hate it?
Can I just say real
Thank
quick
you.
that
Thank you.
Kim texted me, my girlfriend Kim texted me because she heard me say little Dom, little Dom, and she got mad that I didn't say little B, and so I just got corrected live on air.
Tell
There you go.
her this movie isn't worth the respect enough to like say the proper names.
She just corrected me again. I did not say little Dom. I said little Vin Diesel, which is even more.
Little Vin Diesel.
Anyway.
So everyone else said their thoughts on the
So.
ending.
I think
Yeah.
this movie is just such a mess that it's hard to cohesively get everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if
The
we
podcast reflects the quality of the movie.
yes,
I feel like someone from the production team of Fast and Furious, they watched Dune in theaters and they were like, "Oh, perfect. They ended their movie on a cliffhanger. We'll do that for ours." Except that makes sense and this doesn't. And like all around, there's so many scenes where I felt like the editing was awful. Like when Cypher first shows up at Dom's doorstep,
Yes.
I'm like, what is happening? What? And it's just like there's no sense of progression or anything. But like aside from that, like yeah, the ending is happening, and I had a feeling because I remember hearing that it ended on like a crazy cliffhanger. I was like, "There's no way it ends here, right? Right?" And then it ended, and I was like, "I, I can't even give it props. Like that was just so stupid. Like it didn't end anywhere like where it made sense. It just, like you said, it just ended. And on the one hand, I was like, thank God, but on the other hand, it just like they've said how it's so hard to. Or I think Vin Diesel said it was so hard to continue the mythology of the series, but I genuinely don't think they plan anything. They're just like rolling. They're just rolling off the cuff as they shoot, and then they hodgepodge this little thing together, and that's the movie.
What if they put like they got one of those big spinny wheels and they just put prompts on it and they just spin it. And that's how they determine everything.
It's entirely possible.
I mean,
That
yeah,
sounds
The
right.
MacGuffin of this movie.
that sounds like something they would do.
I have a quote from the man Dominic
Give it
Toretto
to us.
himself. He said, "What gets harder about the
real.
films is the work off screen, the thinking, the expanding. It's hard to continue mythologies." Then the most insane part of the quote, he said, and I quote, "There's a reason why Tolkien stopped writing after a while." He compares himself to J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh my
Guys.
god.
He's kind of a genius.
No, stop it.
I will say,
Stop it.
the only thing that I think is like very like profound and poetic that Vin Diesel has said during this whole press tour
Say it.
is when he
Say the
said, "We're
quote.
all part of the same miracle." That like genuinely was like, okay, that's pretty incredible, and it's hilarious that that's how his brain works and that he thinks of these as a miracle. But for him being like, "Oh yeah, we're just like Tolkien, baby," I know the podcast is an audio medium, but I'm like I'm crushing my own head. I'm trying to like end it. Just thinking of like, this is so
I want to
crazy.
meet Vin Diesel so bad. I just want to pick his brain for like 30 minutes.
His two brain cells.
There's at least 3.
Yeah, his fast one and his furious one.
Okay. Did you guys want to talk about the post-credit scene real quick?
I think it's hilarious and it made me laugh so hard because I don't
Guess
like
who's
The Rock.
back?
I think the
I hate
part
Dwayne
that,
Johnson and I love his downfall right now. It's giving me life.
Me too. The part I will say, I was a little sad, like within myself. I knew it was Hobbs the second that I saw his revolver. Like it was like 2 seconds in, and I was like, "There's only one person who holds a revolver in this whole series, and it's Dwayne Johnson."
I
And
didn't even see
he
the
does.
revolver.
Yeah, they go in with their guns up, and I'm like, "That's a revolver. That's Hobbs, isn't it? It's Hobbs."
That's
And then
Hobbs.
he unveils, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
Wanna
Such
hear what
good
I thought?
attention to detail.
Want to hear what I thought that was like a horrifying thought that crossed my brain?
What?
When that scene started, it doesn't
Oh, no.
because I mean it is not. I think the only thing that Dwayne Johnson shot was like his chest up, like that final shot of him taking off the mask, because the guy running that we follow, like in the SWAT gear, does not have the build of The Rock. Like I
No, he didn't.
was very worried. I thought that they were like, "Oh, this is Brian." I
Oh.
genuinely thought, because of how insane these movies are, I thought that like Brian was going to be like in SWAT gear. It made me think of, isn't it Fast and Furious 1 when he? Yeah, it made me think of Fast and Furious 1 when he's in the SWAT gear. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna take it off, and it's gonna be his brothers, and then some mocap like they did in Fast 7. But I was like,
Yeah.
genuinely thought that they were gonna bring him in as a character, and I got so scared and like disgusted because it was like, this is after I heard that apparently Christopher Reeves is in The Flash, which I'm sorry, I did that to myself. I made myself heated. I don't want to get myself started on that. But I didn't notice
Spoiler
revolver, and
alert.
I got so
spoiler
scared.
alert.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know
want to know anything about it.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. It was all over Twitter, and
it's-
also he's dead. So
It's okay.
it's-
I mean, I don't like. I'm not that bothered by it, but I mean, about being spoiled. That is Christopher Reeve being in the movie. I mean, depending on how they use him, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
yeah.
But I want to say real quick, so about the ending, I don't know. I feel like they try to give Hobbs his catchphrase is "some bitch" or whatever. Like, I feel like they're trying to make that his catchphrase. I just think it comes off cringy. Like, it doesn't come off cool or badass like they think it does. I just think it's like, ooh, like I kind of
I think
cringed when
that's
he
because
said
he's
that.
a bad actor.
Like, it is his catchphrase, though. He says that in the 5th one and 6th one, I think.
Okay, yeah, is that his
does.
catchphrase? I don't know. I just
I
find it
think it is
cringy.
his catchphrase.
I just
He
find it
does
cringy is
say
what
it
I'm
I
trying
don't
often.
know
to
if he
say.
said it in Hobbs and Shaw, but
I feel like
I
that's
think
just
it's
the
cringy,
overall
though.
vibe that
Yeah.
that Dwayne Johnson has. Just like he says things, it's like that's a little cringe, isn't it?
Yeah.
okay,
The hierarchy of the DC universe is about to change.
I have two thoughts.
Oh,
Two
how it
thoughts
did.
on The Rock. One, I am also very much enjoying his downfall. I think it's so funny that like he had to come back with his tail between his legs to like be like Vin Diesel, I need help. I thought that was so funny.
Give
But
me
two,
money.
I need money. But like I honestly think that Fast Five is the best The Rock has been in any movie.
Agreed.
So if by some miracle he actually does try in the next one, I don't know, maybe The Rock could be coming back. Maybe he tries a little, I don't know. I'm just kind of hoping for the best
Rock
because I
is
do really
back,
like
baby.
Hobbs. I
I
think
think-
Yeah,
Hobbs
I
is
think
great for this series, so I hope he actually tries.
I did tweet. I think the last time The Rock actually tried acting in something was Fast Five.
Yeah.
Probably.
Like
I think almost certainly.
yeah, he was fine in the game plan. Remember that decom? That was a good one.
I actually
like-
really love the game plan.
Yeah, it's a good
That's
one.
the
And
football
It
one
scarred
with
me
the
as a
little
kid,
girl,
but it
right?
was a good one.
like he's genuinely great in Southland Tales. But besides that, like I think after Fast Five, everything that he's been in, he's just like stopped.
It's just so
Trying.
safe.
He's just been
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing can be worse than like Scorpion King, right?
With the
Oh,
really
there's
I
bad
mean-
CGI.
I've never actually seen that one, so I can't really judge it. But I've heard it's bad, mainly
I
because
don't
of
even think he
CGI.
says anything in that movie.
I'm not even
Well,
sure if he's in
Isn't
that
he the main
movie.
character?
No,
No,
yeah,
he's not.
because there he appears as the Scorpion King in all of its awful early like 90s or 2000s CGI, and then they made a spin-off movie called The Scorpion King that he's in.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
pretty
the
sure.
one I'm talking about.
Yeah, pretty sure. All right, we should wrap it up. Ratings, people. What would you rate it?
ratings.
God.
Give me that half-star Luke.
I had it at 1 star, and I'm
No.
gonna drop it to half. I think.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you. Oh, I love it. I love it so much.
Udi, also the
So-
4th Fast and Furious is the second worst. I think.
No,
So,
no,
anyways.
just stop talking, Luke. You know what? Half-star for Fast X. Say less. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to our Fast and Furious series. That'll be fun.
That'll be something. That's for sure.
Yep. Okay, so Luke, you have 0.5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mike.
I'm gonna be okay. So when I first watched
Heavy
the movie,
exhale.
I gave it 3 stars, but honestly, I really don't even know. I'll
We'll
just
put a
drop it a
question
little
mark
bit.
down.
I'll say 2.5 stars. I still think it's like, if you, for me personally, I just go into these movies and I'm meeting them on the level that they present themselves at, which like I can't get mad at the over the top physics because we're so past the point of them doing that. So like I don't care that they're over the top. I'm just in it to like see what the hell's gonna happen next. And personally, after seeing F9, they like obviously they jumped the shark with going to space, but like this one felt a little more like they actually upped the stakes on like a personal level, and I'm trying to say that with as straight a face as possible. They didn't up the stunts that much, but they did up it with the villain, and I do think because of that the stakes were a little bit more realistic, even if the stunts were stupid and fun and great to watch. But yeah, I'll stick with 2.5. It's definitely an overstuffed, overbloated, poorly written mess, but it's a mess that I really enjoyed.
Sometimes that's
I-
what you just need, a mess that's ridiculous.
It's my mess.
Bless this mess. So I am going to stick with the rating I first gave it when I saw it for the first time, and that is 2 stars. 2 out of 5.
Too nice.
2, 2 stars,
Okay,
too
Udi?
furious.
Udi?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah. What's your score?
I had it originally once I got out of the theater at 2, but I think I'm going to drop it to 1.5.
Okay.
Haters unite.
I guess it's my turn. So obviously, fantastic movie. 5 out of 5. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I think I gave it 2 on Letterbox, and like that's not. It's like a medium film. Like it's not necessarily a 3, but it's not a 1. So 2 it is.
Can I just say one thing before we end it off?
Sure.
There is one way that they can completely fix this franchise. One man they can bring in to completely turn this thing around.
God.
In Fast 11, I want to see Tom Cruise in this franchise. And I think it would fix everything.
In what way?
Yes.
Okay.
I want him to be a bad guy that becomes a part of the family at the end of it.
Oh my god.
Oh my.
You want it to be a Fast and Furious movie. Congrats.
Yes. Okay, I'll throw
I
in
think-
something a little extra. I think I also want Christopher McQuarrie to come in and direct it as well.
Oh, no.
He
no,
would
no, no.
never.
No, he deserves better.
But maybe he
I'm
should.
sorry. No.
I agree. I think he deserves better.
He's not the hero we deserve, but he's the one we
No.
need right now.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think I'll tell you what Louis Leterrier needs. Needs this. Needs a little bit of that.
Luke just held up the Filmmaking for Dummies book for everyone at home. Funny.
I love a good visual gag in an audio medium.
I was just gonna add really quick. If Tom Cruise was playing the music producer from Tropic Thunder, and that's who he played in Fast and Furious, I think I'd be okay
Grossman?
with it. Yeah,
That'd be
it
crazy.
wouldn't make sense, but I would be okay with it if that was the case. But
Vin
otherwise,
Diesel did say he wanted Robert Downey Jr. in this next one too, so maybe he could reprise
did.
his role of Tropic Thunder as well.
No.
Oh boy.
Okay, math.
Yes. So as the listeners and everyone else probably already knows, we say our ratings, we average them out. So this movie gets a 1.7.
perfect.
So
Nice.
that makes sense.
Too high in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I can't argue with math. So
That's true.
about
Luke,
the
we were
Florida?
polar opposites of each other. Lowest and highest score.
Crazy. This is like
The
the
duality
one
of man.
I think this is like one of the maybe 2 movie opinions we've differed on this intensely.
I honestly expected Udi to be at the bottom.
All right, Mike. Quick before the episode ends, what's your crazy theory? Mine is that Gal Gadot is secretly Wonder Woman. That's why she survived.
Whoa. My crazy theory is that come back to me.
Okay.
I
Luke,
think,
what's your crazy theory?
I think they are going to do time travel, but it's going to turn into a Fast and Furious Flintstones crossover event where John
Oh,
Goodman
hell
reprises his
yeah.
role as Fred Flintstone, and
Dom
Dom is gonna be in the stone car, and instead of Nos going into the car, it's gonna go into his veins, and his feet are just gonna go so fast, like and he's just gonna run so hard that his feet are just gonna disintegrate and turn to bone, but he's gonna win that race against Barney.
I will be there day one. Yes. Yes.
As long as Rick Moranis wants to reprise his role as Barney, that's the most important part.
Yeah. Udi, what's your crazy theory?
My theory is that there is Cypher planted a mattress truck on the airplane runway, and so she landed on a mattress truck, and that just took her away to
There you
Antarctica.
go.
She was like, "Hey, wait like 6 years, all right?" And she's like, "Okay." And now we're all caught up.
Miranda, what's your crazy theory?
My crazy theory is they're all actually just in a coma together and they're experiencing this world together, and the last one will
Whoa.
just be like a close-up shot of Vin Diesel's eyes opening.
They all
Whoa!
Inception
God.
together. They're
Yeah.
all in that guy's basement in Inception, all hooked up to
Yeah,
that sleeping
yeah.
machine. No way.
Yep, totally.
Crossover we didn't know we needed. I was wondering why Christopher Nolan was slated to direct Fast 12. That's crazy.
All right,
After
Mike.
Oppenheimer, he was
Okay.
ready.
What's
Okay,
your
I did a
crazy
lot
theory?
of I did a lot of research and insight for this one. I
Okay.
think that in the next one, Jason Momoa is gonna have Dom cornered, and he's gonna reveal that he was actually in love with him, and they're gonna kiss.
Okay,
Nice.
actually immediate 5 stars for that too
Yeah.
as well. If that happens. Either Tyrese burns live on camera or Jason Momoa gets a little kiss from Dami.
Dummy boy.
Get a little
What if
smooch.
what if we get like an Anakin Skywalker of "I hate you," but it's Tyrese crawling out of the burning plane?
Again, 5 stars.
It's just the whole
Yeah.
Anakin versus Obi-Wan monologue, but it's actually Dom and Hobbs.
Ooh.
Perfect. 10 out of 10. All right. Well, we don't have anything. Do we have anything else left to say?
I guess.
Honestly,
The thing
there's
is, we
like
have
so
so
many
much
things we
left to
didn't
say.
say.
Yeah,
How
I was
about
like, we have
Fast
so
X?
much left to say. We just don't
Yeah.
have the time to say.
We
it.
need to wrap the episode up, but I will say there were two scenes that I found really funny unintentionally, and it was the first scene where the soldiers are raiding Mia and Little B. They're raiding the house that they're at, and Mia throws a frying pan into one of the soldiers. That was really funny because of the sound effect it made when it hit him. And then there was also the scene where Jason Statham is punching that guy in the punching bag, and then the car hits the punching bag, and the guy like screams as it hit him. I thought both of those scenes were really funny.
What was the post-credit scene in 8? I think the
9,
post-credit scene
I'm
in
pretty sure.
It was
9.
9. It was
Yeah,
9.
9.
These movies are rough now.
But yeah, we got to wrap it up. We've been going for a bit.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us in this bonus episode of Fast X. Join us next time, and signing off.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.